Hi guys, George here. Uh, Today I'm going to bring to you a gameplay regarding scenario 133, blockbusting of Bokruisk. So this game is basically about the destruction of Army Group Center. It's the Soviets versus the Germans, and the victory conditions are that the Russians win at game end by controlling greater than or equal to four of the five stone buildings south of hex row O on board 1. So board 1 and board 3 are part of the original classic game that was published in the late 70s. And I love these two board games. I love these two boards actually because these boards are boards that I'm really familiar with. So you're playing on familiar grounds. Having said that, I played this game twice, switching sides. Unbelievably, I won both sides, and I owe that to my opponent having broken his personal morale. Um, he did not see a way forward to win, and I felt otherwise, but I was not in a position to question his judgment. And if you tend to be kind to your opponent in this game, it can have adverse effects. For example, you give him the opportunity to do the self rally he forgot, and the person subsequently rolls boxcars. You could question his judgment about quitting and say, no, I think you still have a fair chance. But then the dice gods do not play favors with you, or your opponent, and the situation ends up becoming worse than anticipated, and subsequently, you know, things go south. So, in any case, uh, this channel is not about gloating. It's about my journey in ASL and learning along the way. So, what I'd like to do is present to you a solo play. Now, uh, having said that, I really, at first glance, it looks like, look, the Soviets have to win this, right? But uh, just like in the actual aftermath. Um, but um, with the Germans being on the defensive, they really have a bit of an advantage as well, providing the Soviet player doesn't try his best and is um, rather unlucky. All right. So with that said, the other thing I'd like to let you know is that I kind of used a screenshot and made a plan. Uh, I made a plan for two reasons. First, you wanna divide your forces as the Soviet player in groups and give each group a purpose. For example, here I have one group that's supposed to flank right, the other group that's supposed to flank uh, uh, left, another group that is poised to do an armor assault, and then you want to think about ahead of your opponent's setting up how your reinforcements will come on board to maximize mobility. And then you should anticipate what you need to do. And basically, um, I found out that my tanks had smoke ability. So you really want to throw smoke in the front position, blind your opponent to advance your forces up, and then try a flanking maneuver to go deep into the town or the city, and make sure you ensure that units can be eliminated simply by failure to rout. That was the plan. And what is uh, Murphy's Law about plans and combat? Oh, we'll find out. Okay, so let's turn to good old Vassal and just zoom out for a second. All right, so here's the beginning of the gameplay. And typically I forget to advance the phase chart and the turn markers, but I'm ruling for weather. And before I go any further, I wanted to give the attacker a flag of war playing solo. So there are two AT guns, and their position will be determined by random selection. In addition, I read another document about solo play where the play the designer of that particular algorithm allowed units to switch between dummy counters. So providing certain conditions are met, I have a dummy counter set up for an actual unit. For example, I have my Panzerfaust here, Panzerschreck here, and I will allow him to switch positions to this side of the board if he's bumped, scored a TC, and or engages in close combat, or is engaged in close combat. If that particular situation arises and I hit the right number on a 1d6, he will instead be switching sides, switching positions between one counter and the next. I need to make it challenging and introduce a fog of war and reduce bias. And the way I reduce player bias is by saying that in a competition, in a tournament, if I'm playing one side or the other, I want to make sure that I'm playing uh, to the best of my ability. So um, in a tournament, I'll play the Germans well and I'll play the Russians well, regardless of which side my opponent picks. That's my modus operandi. So having said that, we can advance and see how things unfolded. So we just determine where each AT gun is. I have an AT gun here and they're in very good positions. And you can also consider this position because in this position the gun is in place and they can have line of sight all the way down to there, protecting this flank. This unit here is the Wagner group, and he actually ended up getting a PTC in gameplay and switched to this position here. Is this position more favorable than that position here? Um, Guess what? It is, because it protects this flank, it protects these hexes here. In the meantime, he's blind to a Soviet attack because this building is in the way and he's on the ground floor. All right, so let's see what happens. So this fellow here wants to attack him. I think he got him hit. Oh, I just forgot to smoke. Smoke is the first thing that you need to lay down. My opponent forgive me. The opponent happens to be me. We lay down one smoke from that gun. Now this dude is going to fire to DD5 to J4, area target type, lost check. And the reason why I'm firing on this unit here is because I want him to switch with a real unit and get him. So just because you have a dummy counter there, you can switch in either direction. All right. Ultimately, I wasted some time uh, firing at that position for no good reason. Now, the infantry gun is useless against a Stug, so he's firing in that position there. Mostly at area target type because all the units are concealed. So with prep fire, I did not achieve much. And now with movement, I am trying to advance. Rather than opting for an armor assault, I'm advancing forward along the tree lines. And we have a dummy there. Um, the dummy can easily turn into a 247 if I roll the right 1d6 number. We ultimately got a 2 residual from the 467 here. Okay. These guys advance unimpeded. Nobody can see them yet. Oh, darn, I forgot. This guy can see him. Somebody rolled 12 on the I-15. I think it was these folks here. So here's my 1d6. Turns out we didn't roll the right number, so the dummy stack is simply eliminated. You needed to roll a 5 or 6 for close combat to uh, come up with the real unit and do the switcheroo. It's German player 1, and the AT gun opens up there. Didn't score much of a success. And the second shot is just a TC. Defensive fire back, of course. We oh, they even intensified. Wow. Of course, what happened was Popov has only a +1 DRM, so he scored pretty good. Now we're firing with the 152. That was a good hit, but ultimately the IFD roll was nothing. Could have very easily eliminated the whole stack there, and even rubbled the building. Back to there again. Increased our ACK, but nothing further than that. So we're rolling on the second level because we don't have lost to the last level. We got an ACK there. We got an ACK there. But almost impossible to penetrate the armor. And with the Stugs, you need not forget to do not forget that this guy's a small target. You got to add a +1 to the two-hit rule. No loss there. We still have to take the shot. German defensive fire was out, and now we route. And here comes the Soviet player turn 2, and here comes our reinforcements. So this video should not take more than 30 minutes, maybe 45 max. Now, remember I had a plan of attack and I wanted to maximize mobility. Now, what you need to keep in mind is terrain, and the two terrain features that impede movement of trucks is these two shell holes here. So in terms of taking advantage of the terrain to increase mobility, you should move your tanks first, followed by the trucks that have 25 movement factors or movement points, and then followed by the tanks that have 15, because they're last. Now, you want to put your most valuable troops that have a great amount of firepower on your lead most mobile units. In this case, Nikov, the assault engineers, and the LMGs should have gone first. Here, I correctly put in Brinsky, the MMG, the 447, and a high MP truck. The same thing with the other MG. But the order of execution is also important. So, what to do. We're actually prep firing here. And we got a hit. We triggered that switcheroo, so the uh, dummies went here, and this unit actually was located there, unbeknown to the attacker, due to the solo play algorithm, and escaped the wrath of the 152. And he's in a better position now than before. But once that switcheroo is done, you only have one set of dummies associated with a real life unit. There you go. That's Soviet player turn 2, prep fire phase, and we're wasting time prep firing. We did a flawless flanking maneuver. The uh, the armor assault forward did not uh, materialize um, at all. And basically, it's because we fear the 76L. And if the 76L was out of the way, and this 76L is on the ground floor of a stone building, it's not uncommon to put the AT guns in a building in the classic game. But uh, I would question or do a rulebook dive about putting large guns um, in buildings. I don't think they belong in buildings. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the rulebook would say on that. Okay, so now we're opening up with the HMG, and I think on the first turn we completely forgot about the heavy machine gun. And again, we're rolling on the IFT, but they're in a stone building. They have a +3 DRM, and it's pretty hard to uh, to get people out of stone buildings. We're moving up to flamethrower. That unit is pretty much toast. We're pressing the attack. We're pressing the attack. Assault moving in. And that was the stupid move of the century. Yes, he is an assault engineer. He's moving forward. What do you think the German player is going to do? Who cares if there's smoke here? These units get a 4 down 2 attack. The other unit broken, retired, but the 76 is still a powerful weapon. I remember in the game with Dennis, the thing that broke my personal morale was trying to press the attack from this hex here, right? And each unit that advanced sequentially was um, dispatched by units in this building as opposed to units in, actually not in this building, but units that were on this flank here and here, rather than those units there. And he's reserved that attack for last. But then, if I recall correctly, my armor was intact. They were positioned in places where they can wreak havoc, and his armor and AT guns went kaput. So at that point, he capitulated, and I can't question his judgment. But here we are, and here's where I realized that, hey, I didn't take into account the shell holes when I was advancing my trucks. Otherwise, my tanks could have easily reached here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Well, put them crew exposed and they take advantage of the road movement rate. You know? But I kind of don't regret doing this because um, they kind of made good progress in just the same. Now, German defensive fire, they're going to try and knock out this armored fighting vehicle because the armor decided to move a little bit, inch up, they get shocked, and the attack is subsequently flawed. This engineer got broken and we took him prisoner, but the reinforcements are coming, right? Now it's the Germans. This guy got stuck in there. This guy had advanced in there, and now they're both broken. But we got a little leader here, and he's going to save the day. He's going to say, no, 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 guys, go back into town and knock out those Germans. We're also trying to knock out Popov. There was a Soviet sniper attack there that resulted in a unit breaking. And finally, in terms of directing the fire groups, we finally got our ducks in order. Instead of shooting at blanks, we're now shooting at actual units, and it's making a difference. I'm going to pause the video. You don't have to pause anything. I'm going to load the second log file. So here we are again, recording. And let's move forward. We're already on Soviet turn 3. Rally phase. Did we manage to rally some units? Not really. And this 6th wave ultimately got half squatted here. Um, let's see what happens. Our reinforcements actually did pretty good. The smoke is gone. And other than that, the prep fire phase just resulted in uh, these units, that crew breaking. Uh, that half squad cannot do squat right now because he's guarding a unit larger in size. Uh, there was a 247 on the upper floor that got eliminated. These boys are pretty powerful. That's the sand. Sand check, nothing. Look, this guy fired here. They roll an 11. What are you going to do with that? Not much. Not too sure now. We brought the flamethrower into the wire. And here are the reinforcements coming in. That was a mistake. Big mistake. So I took that shot back. I took that one back. Because, anyway. Now I'm going to pay for taking that move back greatly. Hold on one sec. We're back with the last log file. And this is where karma takes its toll. I had moved that unit here initially there. I said no, that's not right because I want to get an 8 down 2 attack from there, and I kind of forgot about those units there. That's the beauty about putting smoke down there. I would have been sheltered from him, but I wouldn't have been sheltered from him or him. I don't think, maybe, but Mueller was the big joker. So I said, no, look, there's another opportunity here. And look who's there. Mr. HMG 467 and Schultz 9-1. And now passengers are vulnerable. Okay, they don't get FNAM or FFMO, but there is a -1 meter there. And they don't get any positive modifiers as well. But then if they break, they have to bail out, which causes a subsequent a PTC or a break causes a bailout, and then it causes um, um, subsequent consequences. So if they break and they bail out, their support weapons are eliminated, and then they have to pass a bailout morale check. If they are pinned and they have to they bail out, then you have to roll to see if their support weapon is eliminated, if I remember the rule correctly, and they have to do their bailout morale check, and then they are subject to FFNAM, FFNAM. And let's see how that plan works out. Well, the fire group rolled a 5, resulting in a 2 morale check. It was 8 firepower factors, and with a -1 leadership dice roll modifier, DRM. Leader breaks, squad breaks. Okay, bailout morale check, meter passes, squad passes, but no more LNG. And then uh, the KV1 progresses, comes into a position to knock out completely these units here. However, Schultz is still up there, and it doesn't look like the KV1 has a, uh, a line of sight to him. Now the other KV1 comes up, but is he going to do the same mistake as before? Nope. And technically there should be one residual in there at this time. The and he should have been marked first fire, inherent support, inherent firepower only. The HMG got raked, and his covered arc should have been fixed. Here comes another truck. This is a wreck, and he got wrecked due to failing the shock check, exchanging fire here and there. This 152 is pretty good. Here we are failing a morale check badly, resulting in casualty reduction. Casualty reduction, and he passed the casualty check, the wound check. He scored a heat of battle, but if I recall, the heat of battle was to a squad that was a unit that was immune to heat of battle. No, it wasn't. It was actually here. So with the heat of battle rule, um, we got a a leader in battle hardening. Yep, there it is. It was one of the 447 self rally. This guy's still under DM, and we did a line of sight check, and um, it turns out we don't have line of sight because at a 5 hex range, this building casts 2 blind hexes. There's a little bit of a sun, and he only managed to pin that unit. Now, this fellow here casts an act there. He's firing back at here. Huh, we broke this dude. So this guy is really guarding these squads here, guarding them from advancing and wreaking havoc on them. Here we are pressing the attack again. Technically, these guys have line of sight to there, and they could have fired there. Looks like this leader was ultimately eliminated. No, he routed back here. Yeah. Sand, rally. I don't know why I eliminated DM. It looks like it's the German player prep fire phase. There is another morale check failure. This unit firing there. Looks like it's the most immediate danger, or so I think. Possible that this leader had captured the MMG and Vassal was playing tricks on me. We'll see. Oh, back on DM. Should have been DM in the first place. Oh, now I ended up firing from there to there. Gee, I could have split my fire. Fired a 4 down 2 to there, and then a 4 even there. Well, it turns out that I really wrecked the advancing forces here. I would really like to keep those engineers from entering that building. 12 on the IFT, eh? To hit 11. So there's a B10 there. Had I rolled a 12, 11, 12, he would have been mouthed. But now he's marked with a -1 low ammo because his B number is circled. So that would actually eliminate the gun on an 11 and break it on a 10. I got to reread that one. But that's pretty much it. He can easily mouth his machine gun. Yeah. His main armament. Never mind his machine gun. 10? Not too sure why I mouthed this. I have a 2 hit of. Oh, it's because it was intensive fire. There it is. I wrote in the log. Intensive fire. I rolled a 9 in the first shot. It was 8 infantry target type, +1, -1 for buttoned up and acquired, and +3 10 made it a 5 to hit. The second shot was an intensive fire from here to there. So I calculated 8 infantry target type, +1 for buttoned up, -2 for the act, +2 for intensive fire, +3 for 10. It was a 4 to hit, and I rolled a 10, but the breakdown number is lowered by 2, so it's broken. It's mouthed. It's mouthed, actually. It's mouthed. All right. Could be wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me politely. Exit sign. I'll check the 3. And that's it. We're at the bottom of turn 3, and there is 5 turns left. Uh, it's 33 minutes into the video. I plan to bring to you next week, if everything goes well, the conclusion of this scenario. So it will be a part 2 on block busting in Briosk. And you can stop viewing now because the last half of the video is just to give you a preview of what's going to happen and the projects that I'm working on. So just to give you a little preview of what's up in store, I have part 2 of this gameplay going on, and then there will be another tips and tactics on 2 subjects that everybody should be familiar with, but they often overlook it. Also, I want to do a little overview of the Italians. I'm also working on a few other projects in the meantime. The projects being, I'm probably going to be doing something for Hasbro. Nothing particularly important, a little side job. And then I am working on concepts for dice towers. So this looks like a little ammo box, right? There you go. Focus in. Looks looks like an ammo box. There's a divisional patch up here, right? The Red Devils. But really, it's a dice tower. So it installs like that, and you kind of drop the dice in here, and you go down. Or you can even store your dice in it, because once it's capped, they don't fall out. Wait a second. Or you can even shake your dice in here and then unload them into the tray. See? You can put them, whoa, put them in there, shake them all up, and then boom, and you get to your dice roll. That's a project I'm working with. I covered a couple of paper models in play. This is not to scale, but this is a PT09, and it'll be the subject of a little diorama, I hope. So I got modeling there. In terms of gameplay, I'll be playing Dennis and Mark 2 against 1 on Salcho 79, and I'll be playing the Soviets. My adversaries will be dividing the OB into two groups, one group for Dennis and another group of Germans for Mark. Mark will be starting on board. Dennis will come into the board as reinforcements. Note a caveat for playing Salcho 79 as the Soviets, that mechanized battalion or those mechanized elements, they're pretty much dead meat. They go into the meat grinder, just like the historical scenario. So you can even actually play it with 4 players, and you can divide the Soviets into this group that starts on board 3, the mechanized battalion, and then 2 players play the Germans. So you have 4 players taking turns and taking sides playing, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, pretty interesting. So we'll see how that unfolds. I did also a little project going back to the classic game, and made a couple of logs for Hill 621 for a friend that is working on a battlefield integrity Excel sheet, Michael Power, but for the classic game. And in so doing, I went over the battlefield integrity rules for Advanced Squad Leader. And in Advanced Squad Leader, it's a bit more interesting. It's a bit more interesting because your morale doesn't necessarily drop by 1 once battlefield integrity is triggered. It's your ELR that's reduced, but only after you roll or you fail your integrity check. And subsequently to that, you can do an integrity check to see if your ELR increases. So it's not necessarily your morale that decreases, but your ELR, which makes it a bit more interesting. Now, the other interesting fact that you need to know is that you can find your BPV values to take advantage of this rule in Chapter H for guns and tanks. But where do you find your BPV value for infantry units? It's nowhere in the rule book. Now, if you look at a vassal counter, let's zoom in, look at a vassal counter. See that I logged in, I zoomed in here. Notice the back end of this unit only has 1 number in it. We'll check out an actual unit. You see there's 2 numbers there? There's a number, oops, and this thing here is also a number. I know it's kind of hard to view. Let's see. There, 2 numbers. One on the upper left-hand corner and one on the bottom right-hand corner. The bottom right-hand corner is a 7, which is your rally, your number to rally. The upper left-hand corner is your BVP. Bravo, bravo, Peter Victor. Yeah, I know I don't have the P correct. But that's that. So that's pretty interesting. And in terms of watching some YouTube videos, I highly recommend ID Jester. Now, the beauty about ID Jester is he plays solo some games, and it's a pleasure to watch him play. It's refreshing from your typical unboxing reviews because he actually gets into the components of the game, lays it out, does a gameplay example for you. It's really entertaining. Um, However, I usually can only dedicate an hour and a half max to 30 minutes of it in terms of that. Um, Ardwolf's Lair, uh, great uh, resource for OCS. He kind of he kind of lit the fire in my heart for OCS again. Mind you, this game is really, really, really the crux of OCS is logistics, and it's not combat. But the two are really directly related to one another. And if you want to play at the operational level, you cannot ignore logistics. Logistics is paramount. Otherwise, you end up like the Russian units in Ukraine, completely obliterated, right? What a tragedy and a sad war, a needless war. There, the commanders completely mind-boggling how they ignored logistics, and they paid for it dearly. I think OCS models that right on the spot. It's complicated, it's a little bit obscure, it's a little bit arcane, but it hits it pins the needle on the donkey's butt kind of thing. Yeah, and also check out Dan Pankadali's channel. He's also very entertaining. He's a nice guy. And the thing that the major takeaway from there is he always tells everybody to be kind. So those are words to live by. Be kind, everyone. Have a great weekend. And I thank you all for your support. And again, I am trying to keep this channel free. If my health keeps up and I'm always gainfully employed, that would be the major source of revenue for this channel. I did make a buy me a coffee thing once, but I'm not advertising it at all. Nor am I interested in Patreon. I want to keep this a hobby and not a job where you are the patrons and I am the employee. So that's that. And I hope you enjoyed this update. 42 minutes in. I took a lot of your time. I greatly appreciate for your views. Like and subscribe. And do tell other people about this channel if you like what you see. Next week, I hope to bring you the conclusion of blockbusting in Briosk. George Otis, Roger, out. Take care.